Well, here we are. I'm Tom Osman, and this is Whatever Comes Next, the podcast where I explore the world of underground and independent music making. And on today's episode, I am talking with Ataraxia, the neoclassical darkwave band, as they're referred to in the press release, and that is probably about as good a description as I can come up with, who are releasing their 30th record this Thursday, Sylfaera The Fair, on the Circle Music. And this is, in fact, the third part in a trilogy of albums, which started with 2022's Pomegranate, the Chant of the Elementals, followed by 2024's Centuria. And the sound of Ataraxia on Sylfaera The Fair is a very interesting one, combining various different musical traditions, classical instrumentation, as well as some more modern electronic textures and instrumentation. Given that the band have been going for so long and they've had so many releases, I thought there will be stories to tell here, and there were stories to tell here. So I am going to let the band go ahead and tell them. You can follow me at Tom Osman Sounds. You can go to tomosmansounds.com for my music. I'm on Ampwall and Bandcamp. I will play a little clip from Sylfaera The Fair in just a moment, but beyond that, there is nothing left to be said. But Francesca Nicoli, Vittorio Vandelli, and Giovanni Pagliari of Ataraxia. Take it away. So maybe, first of all, you can tell me a bit about the concept of Sylfaera The Fair, because I understand there is a lot to the story and it's also part of a trilogy as well.
Okay, I start saying sorry for my English. I do my best. Okay. Okay, it's the third chapter of the trilogy. And this time we are speaking of a group of people, a brotherhood of artists and philosophers and people engaged in spirituality who wish to create the town of music and beauty and harmony. So they gather in a very beautiful place. There are waterfalls and white stones all around and the energy of nature surrounding people. And all together, we are trying to arise our energy in order to create this town of music and beauty.
And so how does this connect the three albums together?
Okay, the very first one was about the elementals. So water, fire, air, and earth. And we try to explore all of them in music. Every song was an element. And so it was a sort of basic first chapter. The second was about a golden age in a highland. We imagine a Mediterranean highland, in Greece maybe, where people lived the golden age, and there were rituals and there were very beautiful sunsets and sunrises where people gather and together they explore their inner self and live just like in very old, maybe imagined times. And the third one is about creating this realm in reality, through music. We gathered, we were three, and then a bagpipe player and a second singer and a graphic designer and also an actor working with us. And all together we try to create that realm.
Sorry, I just got distracted for a moment because I have a black cat behind me. You maybe saw on my back, but he's on the ground now.
We like cats.
Me too. So another question, just focusing on the number 3. So there are obviously 3 of you here. I think the band's Wikipedia page needs some correcting. So maybe you can tell me, when did the 3 of you start making music together as Ataraxia? When did this lineup become the band's formal lineup?
Well, the original lineup, yes, was formed in the late 80s, and I joined the band in 1990, yes. And then we were not in 3. there were more people. I think 7 people. Yes, 7 people acting, playing. It was a multi-medium. Yes, multi-medium band. Then we evolved. We changed a lot of the lineups, and until we got 4, and there was a drummer with us until I think 5 years ago. Yes, and then nowadays we are 3.
And so when you perform on stage, what does that setup look like? Because I know on the forthcoming album you have some guest musicians. You obviously have a lot of different instrumentation. So how do you represent that on stage these days?
On stage, we take care of imagery. We create scenographies, and we have videos behind that are in keeping with music. They are the atmospheric surrounding of our music, and sometimes you have different musicians playing with us. The next concert, the next festival, we'll have a keyboards player playing with us in addition to Giovanni. Then we have the bagpipes player, and sometimes drummer, and sometimes performers. It depends on situations, but the essence are the 3 people here: the composers, Giovanni and Vittorio, and I write the lyrics.
So you mentioned bagpipes, and I wanted to ask you about that because listening to the forthcoming album, you had okay, and I'm sorry if I pronounce the names incorrectly, but I think so Sylfaera, and then the title track sort of, and then the next track Silvertine or Silvertine. You have an instrument that does a solo in Sylfaera, and it starts Silvertine. It sounds almost like bagpipes, but I think it's not bagpipes, or is it?
It's William pipes that is pipes from Ireland. Special kind of pipes from Ireland. I think they are from the 18th century.
Okay. And so, thinking about sort of the classical or the medieval and the traditional instrumentation that you use, where did that interest and that background come for all of you? It's a large musical world that you're drawing from, but where did these different elements come into your lives?
I first speak of myself. My father was a music teacher, and he was in love with medieval music and Baroque music and also classical music. So I grew up surrounded by these atmospheres. And when I was a child, I was 3-4 years old. All the Sunday mornings, I listened to this music at high volume in the hall of our house. And we have also grown up in medieval villages all around here. This house as well. We have medieval surroundings everywhere.
Yes.
It is called this land. It is called the land of the castles. So we are really in that age.
Yeah, nice. When I originally came from Australia, and we moved to Scotland, my family, when I was very young, and the castles were one of the things I was most excited about when I came, because you don't really have that kind of history in Australia.
That's true, yes.
And so then for you, in terms of your introduction to these different sort of cultural musical elements?
Yes, I always say that we feel very lucky because we explored many repertories, many musical repertories, and we have a lot of imageries, so they are different one from the other. We don't know where they come from actually, because we can give some explanations, some logical explanation, but it's very limited. So we don't know where they actually all come from, but we know they are there. We accept them. So we're channels of music. Francesca always said that. So through our receptors, we can channel these kinds of music, many kinds of music, and I think it works. It always worked, and it still does. So we are thankful for all that.
It's a cultural heritage also of our country, Italy.
Yes.
Where music was very important in the past. Yes.
I don't know if you ever played with or had contact with an Italian duo called Ovo. I interviewed them recently, and they were talking about the occult element in their music. And they were saying that for them growing up, even in their families with their parents, there was an interest in the occult, and that sort of was culturally a thing that was quite a lot around in Italy. I think you mentioned the word ritual a little earlier, and I wanted to ask you about that in your music. Like, what part does ritual play, or, you know, yeah, I use the word occult, but, you know, like sort of something spiritual or drawing from forces around. How much does that, or in what way does that come into your writing and your recording and your performing?
Personally, I can say that before playing a concert, that I considered a ritual, because a concert is an exchange between us and the people, and the energy flows from both the parts. And I concentrate, I get connected with something I feel, I don't know what, and something comes into me. And when I sing, my eyes are closed and I am completely immersed into music. It's not me, it's music speaking. And it is a ritual because we know that people after and during feel the same. And usually they tell us we have crossed dimensions. We contacted our inner self. We contacted our childhood. We contacted other dimensions we don't know, but we lived that moment. So
was that something that was that like an approach that you had right at the beginning of the band, or something that came later?
Maybe, yes, it came later, yes, because we didn't have so much consciousness in the early days at the beginning. It was just sort of, giving vent to emotional states. That's it. But at the end, we evolved the kind of state we're in, and we asked about it. We wondered, why am I doing this? Why do I get these concepts, these imageries? So by the time we wondered ourselves about it, yes.
Also think that maybe I've grown up in a natural, in a wild natural landscape. I grew up on the mountains until I was 14. So nature all around gave me that inspiration. And when I sing, my imagery is always being in a wood, being up on the mountains, being in front of the sea, looking at the firmament. I'm in that mental state.
Yeah, you know, I was listening to the album while I was running yesterday. So I'm visiting my girlfriend here, and she lives near a woods. And normally when I listen to music when I'm running, I have something that's got like, you know, kind of like a thumping beat. But I was listening to your album and running through the woods and having the sunlight coming down through the trees. It felt like a really somehow like kind of transporting kind of experience. And yeah, it was interesting. Like it felt like almost like a kind of a mystical experience, you know, like I was with nature while I was listening to this music. So that side, like the sort of the natural world and tradition and history comes through in your music. I wonder how you feel about the modern side, the technology. Like obviously we're talking now on Zoom. You're recording your music using some sort of, you know, modern technology. You put music out on CDs. How do you kind of find the harmony between like the natural world and tradition and the modern world and technology?
Well, we find the right compromise about it. Yes, of course. You have to, because you cannot be disconnected to reality, but at the same time, you must not be killed by the excess of technology.
I also think that our souls are timeless. So we simply bring our roots nowadays. It's normal. It's just a cycle. It's spontaneous. No problem with that. We use technology, but while using it, we feel also our roots. There is no contrast. It's flowing.
Yes, it's balanced.
It's balanced.
We try to be balanced.
Yeah. And I mean, like you mentioned before about the community you live in, I think you said that it was in some ways like kind of a medieval community. So how long have you lived where you are now?
Since childhood.
Yes, always. here in Italy, it's difficult to change town or place. It's not, maybe in the States, it's interesting and it's easy to change.
Yes.
Yes, to change stage and place. Here we are rooted to our.
We're more steady. Yeah, we're more steady.
Even if, thanks to music, we traveled
Yes.
all over the world, so we met different people, and it was very, very, very interesting to be in China playing Italian medieval music, being, I don't know, in Mexico or wherever, and the exchange is incredible for me. It's a great experience.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that idea of international community. So what are some of the places that you visited that you feel the strongest connection to?
Well, some places in Europe, China, and yes, maybe Mexico, and the States too, if they come. If we get the chance to play there, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I felt a deeper connection with Portugal because we played a lot of times there in wonderful venues, castles and old theaters, and people who are very, very, they have a very peculiar approach, very timid, shy, I say, but they felt music a lot and they cried at the end of the concert. And another great experience was in Mexico and Latin America, where people are open-hearted. They have a special connection with music. So there was a very good exchange, I think.
And how did you come to play in China? Have you just been there once or multiple times?
Multiple times, yes. Because, I think that it has to do with the freedom we had before the pandemic. There was a very wide form of freedom in the world. So we took our chances.
We had 4 tours in China. We traveled all over China, and we thought that people didn't know us. On the contrary, they had all the CDs, all the albums, and they were very warm and passionate. We were surprised, actually.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about language. So I know that you sing in different languages, and I've interviewed other people before who sing in multiple languages, and I'm interested to know, for you, does the music shape what language you'll choose to use on a song, like whether you'll choose English or Latin or Italian? Does the way the music flow or like the instrumentation that you use influence what language you might choose to use, and like thinking about that particular flow of that language?
Language is just like sound. When I sing, I am an instrument, just like keyboards or guitars or William pipes. So it's instinctual to choose a language because I feel that sound is perfect for that melody, that song, that music. And I play with sounds. It's not perfect, the language I sing. Maybe I work with it and I transform it into something else. For that reason, I also like a lot of glossolalia. I mean, inventing sounds, inventing languages with the right sound, with a word from a language, another word from another language, and put all of that together to create an atmosphere.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel the atmosphere a lot. I think that's one of the strengths musically of the forthcoming album, is that there's so much interest in the sound of the voice. I don't automatically need to know what you're singing. It's like the way that it fits into the rest of the instruments. Like, okay, maybe I'll pronounce this incorrectly. Track number 7 of the album, Luara.
Yavara.
Okay. There's this thing that you do about halfway through. You've got like this kind of descending cry in the music that is very atmospheric. I really, really like that track. It makes me think, I don't know if this musical connection will mean anything to you. It makes me think a bit of the band Popol Vuh. Are you familiar with them? Like 70s prog band.
Yeah,
I don't know if they were an influence.
Yes. I like that. I was listening to them when I was a child. I remember them very well. Yes, hypnotic and very beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't make that up. So I think you mentioned there glossolalia. So this is also a bit of a random connection, but if you know the band The Melvins, their drummer Dale Crover had an album last year called Glossolalia, and that was the first time that I learned about that word. So were you using this in the past? Like, how did you come to use this technique in your music?
I think I started using it at the very beginning when we started playing music together. At the beginning was just transforming a language into something else. I mean, French, no, it was no more French, it was, I don't know what, French with some English, with some invented sounds. And then now I create languages. Every song, some of the songs have different languages that are invented, but I do not think of that. I concentrate while listening to their music. Words come, sounds come. I put vowels together, and I think that it is the right sound, the right atmosphere for that specific note or song, and it's natural. It's channeling again.
On a sort of topic of thinking about like your big catalog, because I think you have in total maybe 30 albums, is that correct?
Maybe. Yes. 30 by the end of May, yes.
Yeah.
Within May, yes.
So I'm sure that when you tour, you will play a lot of music, play a lot of songs from your most recent albums. But I wonder, when you go back and you look at all of your catalog, how much do you pull from your past albums? And, you know, are there songs that if you wanted to play are kind of like lost now to you? Like, can you remember how to play all of your songs?
Well, there are very few songs from the past that we play. We especially play recent songs, you know, maybe from the previous 2 or 3 albums, not earlier.
We are always projected towards the future because we are curious, and to go on playing after such a long time is to be projected towards new things, new inventions, new creations, everything new.
Okay. You mentioned COVID before. How much or what kind of impact did that have on you and the band during that time where you were? You know, were you able to meet together? Were you able to practice together? Because at the time of COVID, I was living in Czech Republic, and then I was living in Germany. And I know like everybody in each different place had their own experience. So what was it like for you? What impact did it have?
I think I was the one who suffered most because I used to work in a house for old people, and I was locked there. But the band itself couldn't meet. We couldn't meet because I think in March 2020, the law wanted us to be in our own home. So we couldn't live far from home. We couldn't leave our home, our houses. And, you know, there were the so-called lockdowns. I don't know if you use that in America too. Yes. We used to live that, and it was very dystopic for all of us.
And our rehearsal room is 25, 30 kilometers far from our houses, and 7 kilometers. And we couldn't go there, but I have to say the truth. I took my car and I went because I needed to sing. I couldn't stay in my house. I needed to sing, so I went. I was in the country and I was singing alone. Then Vittorio came with his guitar, and we never stopped really to play. It was impossible because it was just like stopping our heart beating. It was impossible.
It was easy for them because they're not very far one from the other. So I live very far from them. Yeah. So it was different for me.
So Giovanni, you mentioned working in an old folks' home, and I wanted to ask kind of like a work-related question for all of you. So a lot of the people that I talk to, people I interview, are like independent musicians, DIY musicians, underground musicians. So one thing I'm interested to learn from people is if the music can basically support you financially, or do you need to have jobs which are totally separate from music?
Of course, we do need jobs. Music can't support us at all. We do need jobs. I mean, it all depends on the kind of music you make, the kind of contracts you make. Of course,
yeah.
They're different. We can't say every musicians behave in the same way. No, it depends on the conditions, of course. But as far as Ataraxia is concerned, we can't live on music. We got to have our own jobs, yes, of course.
We have chosen to be free. We have chosen to follow our own inspiration. So we have always worked with different labels from all over the world, and not just a single contract in one label. We have not an agency of concerts. They call us, and we spent a period, maybe many years ago, where we were starting living, learning with music, with music. But right now it's difficult, and we have chosen freedom. We have chosen to feel the spirit of music, to go on with passion, without limitation, without do that, repeat that. No, freedom.
Yeah, I can kind of understand both sides, because I can imagine that if music is the career, then maybe you start to feel like, oh, I should make this decision because this is what people expect, or this is going to be more popular.
Yeah.
But if your work is separate, then you can have the freedom to make whatever is most satisfying for you.
That's it.
And Vittorio, he doesn't speak English, so he can speak right now. But we have to say that he's a very creative person who has studied sound engineering, and he created a studio for us. Mm-hmm. So we are independent. We record our own music. He records our own music, and we do everything ourselves. Also, our layout, our designer from France. Is a close friend, and we work all together because we put quality and beauty and artistic freedom as the first thing.
Yeah. So maybe I don't want Vittorio to feel excluded. So maybe I can ask you a question for him in English. You can ask him in Italian, okay, and he can tell you, and then you can give me his answer. So maybe Vittorio can say a bit about what part, and maybe this can be for all of you, what part does Ataraxia have in your lives outside of the music?
When I'm divided, I'm two person in one. I'm a worker man and a dreamer. So when I work, I think to music, and maybe less. When I play music, I think to work. Well, it's strange it's difficult to explain, because my life it's very divided. Well, I do practical things mechanically, like a robot, and then when I'm acting like a robot, and I'm thinking to something that it's outside.
Yeah.
So that's all. I think until now, the music sphere, it's the most important for me.
Yeah. No, I can totally understand that. Like, if I don't have a way to express myself creatively, then definitely I feel like something needed is missing from my life. And what about for both of you? Do you also feel that you have kind of like a separation of your lives between like the creative and the mechanical, or is sort of everything unified for you?
In my life, I think everything is unified, because I am always in a creative state of mind. So writing and reading and drawing and creating music, singing I always see everything connected in an artistic way. Even if I have to do a job or work, I am thinking creatively, and I am thinking how to put all of that into music always, since I was a child.
Yes, me too. I try to be balanced in all these two things, music and what there is outside music. Yes, we always try to get a balance.
And I wanted to ask you about a forthcoming premiere that you've got for the album Wave Gotik Treffen in Leipzig. So I think this is going to be the 7th time that you played the festival. So tell me about this festival and how you started to play there.
We started many years ago because we had a German label, and they invited us to it was the 2nd or 3rd edition of Gotik Treffen. And then after 3, 4, 5 years, we went back there. And the most interesting thing is that we meet people from all over the world, because there are people coming from all over Europe and also from America and from
everywhere.
So there is the chance with a concert or 2 concerts. Sometimes we play 2 concerts, one acoustic and one normal, to meet everybody.
Yes.
And it's an incredible situation. People coming from all over the world, bands coming from all over the world, and it's the town of music for 4 days. So it's incredible. It's a very, very, very good experience.
And so you'll be playing there, is it just before the album comes out, like on the 19th of May, something like that? Is that right?
Today we play 2 days before. It is let's say the first presentation of the album.
Yeah. And so will you play the album as it is on the record from start to finish in the same order?
I think so. Yeah.
And so, and how many people will you have on stage for that performance?
In that performance, we will be 4 with a second keyboards player who is in the other room right now, because today we are rehearsing for the festival. And so we will be 2 keyboards and guitar and bouzouki, and we will have drums and backing tracks and vocals.
And so I looked on the website for the Circle Music and looked at some of the different editions that you have of the forthcoming album. You have some special editions in vinyl. You have also like a box set with, I forget what you called them, traveling stones, was it?
Of course.
Can you tell me about this and what you're going to offer with the physical versions of the album?
Okay, the box will contain the vinyl in a different color, I think silver, and the CD. The vinyl and the CD have different booklets and the layouts, so a great imagery. And then there will be this Traveling Stones, that is a story. Last September, I was in a Greek island, in a secluded Greek island, and I started collecting stones. They were very beautiful, red and white and black and green. And then we collected them. I brought them in Italy. A friend of us, drawn the eyes, the symbol of the album on them, and we wrote by hand 100 poetic writings connected to the Greek gods. So everybody will receive a sort of oracle, a Delphic oracle, together with a stone, and it's called Traveling Stone because I found it in Greece, I brought it in Italy, and then Greece again to the label, and from Greece all over the world for the 100 people who will have the box.
And is that something that you've done before or something similar with other releases?
Yes. We released, I don't know how many deluxe or original editions, sometimes with books translated in many languages with peculiar photos linked to the songs. We released a compilation, a best-of with pictures, photos linked to each song, and a poem in Spanish, in English, in French, in Portuguese, so everybody could read. And then we released also a big wood box. Yes,
Yes.
a big wood box that was the symbol of our very first album that was live. We had a great wooden box, 2 meters height, something like that. And we recreated it in a smaller size.
Profession.
And then we had a box from Greece, from the album Ina, that was connected to Greece, and a blue box carved by hand. And inside there were flowers and leaves and Persians, whichever. Yeah, many, many more, of course.
That's great. I think also in this current age where a lot of people listen to music on Spotify or they listen to music digitally, it's great to have something different with the physical side, something that people can't just get, something physical as well. I think that's important.
I think so. I always say this, okay, we are spirits in a body. So here we are in the matter, in a sort of material dimension. And so we bring spirituality to material
state, yes.
In a material state. And this is, we prefer to have a CD, a vinyl, a box, something creative in our hands, because it's our essence brought into material.
See, it's something concrete.
Yeah.
Something concrete. It's not just,
an idea, yes, something
just
ethereal.
An abstract idea. You can actually have the product in your hands. And I think it's very gratifying for an artist to have that.
And to see the images as well, pictures. We take care of photography a lot, and writings and poems, and just like having a book.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great approach. Well, Vittorio, Francesca, Giovanni, great to meet all of you. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I really enjoy the album. So I hope you get a great reception when it comes out. I hope that you have a great performance at Wave Gotik Treffen, and that you enjoy the rest of the festival. And yeah, thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.